Imagine a life where you carry peace wherever you go, not just in temples or meditation halls or quiet forests, but right here, right now, in the middle of your busy, messy, beautiful life. Buddhism isn't just about monks in saffron robes or silent retreats in the Himalayas. It's not just ancient scriptures or statues of the Buddha with a serene smile. Buddhism is a mirror that, when you dare to look into it, reflects the raw, unfiltered truth about who you are, what suffering really means, and how freedom is closer than you think. If you've ever wondered why life feels so heavy sometimes, if you've ever felt the weight of pain, disappointment, loss, or longing, then you're not alone. The Buddha started with the same questions. Over 2,500 years ago, he wasn't trying to create a religion. He wasn't chasing power or fame. He was simply a human being, like you and me, looking for a way out of the pain. And what he found, under that tree, in the stillness of his own heart, would echo across centuries. Not because it was mystical or magical, but because it was real. This video is not about converting you. It's not about asking you to believe anything blindly. It's about something far deeper. Seeing clearly, understanding life as it is, understanding you as you truly are. We'll walk together through the story of the Buddha, but more importantly, through the story of human experience, why we suffer, how we get lost, and how we can come home to ourselves again. Buddhism isn't a set of rules, it's a path that doesn't ask you to follow blindly, but invites you to experience, to observe, to awaken. You don't have to shave your head or leave your life behind. You just have to start where you are, with your breath, your questions, your pain, and your curiosity. So take a deep breath. Let's slow down. Let's listen, not just to the teachings, but to something deeper, something that's been waiting inside you for a long time. The truth about Buddhism isn't found in temples. It's found in your own stillness, your own awareness, and maybe, just maybe, it's time you met it face to face. Let's begin. Section 1. Who was the Buddha? Over 2.5 millennia ago, in what is now Nepal, a young prince named Siddhartha Gautama was born into a life of luxury. His family was wealthy, his future already carved out in the grand halls of royalty. But even as a child, something inside him felt unsettled. Siddhartha lived in a palace that was isolated from the outside world, sheltered by his father's desire to protect him from anything that might disturb his happiness. The walls of the palace, both physical and metaphorical, kept him from understanding the true nature of life. But life has a way of revealing its truths, no matter how tightly we try to shield ourselves from them. When Siddhartha ventured out of the palace as a young man, he saw 4 sights that would forever change his life. He saw an old man, bent and fragile. He saw a sick man, suffering and in pain. He saw a dead body, a person who had passed from this world. And then he saw a monk, peaceful and serene, someone who had clearly found a way to deal with the suffering of life. These sights shattered his illusions. He realized that no matter how rich or powerful you are, you cannot escape the universal truths of aging, sickness, and death. He began to question, what is the point of wealth, power, and privilege if all of life leads to inevitable suffering? How could he find a way to transcend it? Driven by these questions, Siddhartha left his palace, his family, and his life of comfort behind. He embarked on a journey of self-discovery, seeking answers in the teachings of various spiritual guides of his time. But nothing seemed to satisfy him. He practiced extreme austerities, pushing his body to its limits, but still, he didn't find the peace he was searching for. It was only when he sat down under a Bodhi tree, vowing not to rise until he had found the truth, that he experienced a profound awakening. Siddhartha became the Buddha, the awakened one. He realized that the key to understanding life was not in rejecting it, but in embracing it fully, with clarity and awareness. His path was not one of asceticism or indulgence, but of balance and mindfulness. In that moment, the Buddha discovered the Four Noble Truths, a simple yet revolutionary teaching that would shape the course of history. These truths are not just philosophical ideas, but practical insights into how we can live with peace and freedom, no matter the circumstances of our lives. Section 2. The Core Teachings. The Four Noble Truths are the heart of Buddhism, the foundation upon which everything else rests. They are not abstract concepts or intellectual exercises. They are the Buddha's direct experience of life's deepest realities, offered to us as a guide to understanding and overcoming suffering. The first truth is simple. Life is suffering. This is not meant to be depressing, but rather an invitation to look honestly at the world. Suffering, in this context, is not just physical pain, but the emotional and mental anguish we all experience. Fear, anxiety, desire, frustration, and the endless cycle of wanting more than what we have. It's the discomfort of never quite feeling satisfied or at peace. It's the grief that comes with loss, the discontentment that nags at us, even when everything seems okay on the surface. The second truth is that suffering has a cause. It is caused by craving, attachment, and ignorance. We suffer because we want things to be different than they are. We attach ourselves to ideas, people, possessions, and even our own identities, thinking that they will bring us lasting happiness. But when things inevitably change, or when we lose what we hold dear, we experience pain. The Buddha taught that much of our suffering comes from our inability to accept life as it is, from the constant desire to control and hold on to things that are temporary. The third truth is that there is an end to suffering. This is the most hopeful part of the Buddha's teaching. While suffering is an inherent part of life, it is not something we have to be trapped in forever. The end of suffering comes through letting go of attachment, by transcending the ego, and by waking up to the present moment. The Buddha's enlightenment was not a mystical event. It was a realization that freedom from suffering comes from understanding and letting go of the things that bind us. The fourth truth is the path to the end of suffering, which is the Noble Eightfold Path. This path is not a set of rigid rules or doctrines, but a practical guide to living a life of wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. It is a path of right understanding, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Each step of the path helps us to see life more clearly, act more compassionately, and cultivate a peaceful mind. The Eightfold Path is not a linear progression. It is a way of being. It is not about achieving perfection, but about bringing mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom into every moment of our lives. Through this path, we can transform our suffering into freedom, our ignorance into wisdom, and our attachment into love. These core teachings are not theoretical or abstract. They are tools for living, designed to help us navigate the complexities of life with more grace and peace. They ask us to look deeply within, to observe our own minds, and to live with awareness and compassion. The truth of Buddhism is not something we need to search for far away. It's something we can find in each moment, in each breath. Section 3. Myths versus Truth. Buddhism is often misunderstood, misrepresented, and sometimes even oversimplified. It's easy to see a peaceful monk meditating or a serene statue of the Buddha and assume that Buddhism is all about avoiding the chaos of life, retreating from reality, or meditating in silence until reaching some kind of nirvana. But these are just fragments of a much deeper and more nuanced philosophy. Let's take a moment to address some common myths and misunderstandings about Buddhism that may be clouding your perception. One common misconception is that Buddhism is not a religion. In a strict sense, it is true that Buddhism does not worship a god in the way that many other religions do. The Buddha is not a deity to be prayed to. He is a teacher, a guide, a human being who discovered the path to liberation. But while Buddhism may not focus on a divine creator, it is still a religion in the sense that it offers a way of life, a set of teachings, practices, and ethics that shape how we understand the world and live in it. It provides a roadmap for living a life full of wisdom, compassion, and peace. So, while it may not fit neatly into the definitions of other world religions, Buddhism still provides a framework for understanding life and the world around us. Another misunderstanding is that Buddhism is a pessimistic philosophy, one that simply dwells on suffering. It's true that the Buddha's teachings start with the reality of suffering, but that is not the end of the story. The Buddha did not teach that life is only suffering, but that suffering is a part of life. Buddhism is ultimately about how to transcend that suffering, to find freedom, joy, and peace, even in the midst of hardship. It is a philosophy of transformation, not resignation. One more myth that often comes up is the idea that meditation is the heart of Buddhism. While meditation is undoubtedly an important practice within Buddhism, it is not the only practice. Buddhism is about cultivating mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom in every moment, not just while sitting on a cushion. It is about how we walk, how we speak, how we interact with others, and how we approach our daily tasks. Meditation is just one tool among many that help us develop these qualities. The Buddha never asked anyone to believe in anything without personal experience. The teachings of Buddhism are not commandments, but invitations to explore the truth for oneself. They are not about worshiping, but about awakening. Awakening to the reality of who we are, what we are, and how we can live with more freedom and peace. The truth of Buddhism is not found in dogma, but in direct experience. Section 4. Buddhism around the world. Buddhism is often seen as an ancient Eastern tradition, but its influence has spread far beyond the borders of Asia and continues to grow across the globe today. While the core teachings of the Buddha remain the same, different cultures and communities have interpreted and adapted those teachings in unique ways, giving rise to various schools of Buddhism. Let's take a brief journey across some of the most prominent branches of Buddhism to see how they interpret the Buddha's message. First, we have Theravada Buddhism, often called the teaching of the elders, which is practiced primarily in Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. Theravada focuses on the earliest recorded teachings of the Buddha, emphasizing individual liberation through personal insight and meditation. Its followers believe in the importance of achieving nirvana for oneself, following the Noble Eightfold Path with a deep commitment to monastic life and meditation. In Theravada Buddhism, the ideal is the arahant, a person who has attained enlightenment through their own efforts. Then there is Mahayana Buddhism, which is more widespread in East Asia, China, Japan, Korea, and Vietnam. Mahayana translates to the Great Vehicle and encompasses a variety of traditions such as Zen, Pure Land, and Tibetan Buddhism. Mahayana emphasizes the bodhisattva ideal, where practitioners vow to attain Buddhahood not only for their own sake, but for the sake of all beings. In Mahayana, enlightenment is not an individual pursuit, but a communal one, seeking to relieve the suffering of others and guide them to liberation as well. The focus is not only on personal meditation, but also on practices of generosity, ethics, and devotion. Speaking of Tibetan Buddhism, it's a unique form of Mahayana Buddhism that flourished in Tibet and parts of the Himalayas. Tibetan Buddhism incorporates rich rituals, mantra recitations, and visualization practices, blending Buddhist teachings with indigenous Tibetan beliefs. Its practice revolves around the figure of the Lama, spiritual teacher, and places great importance on esoteric teachings. One of the most well-known figures in Tibetan Buddhism is the Dalai Lama, who is regarded as a living embodiment of compassion and wisdom. Then, there's Zen Buddhism, a school that focuses on meditation and direct personal experience. Zen was brought to Japan from China, where it was known as Chan Buddhism. Zen's central practice is sitting meditation, known as zazen, where practitioners let go of thoughts and concepts to experience the present moment directly. Zen is often associated with simplicity and directness, emphasizing mindfulness and living with clarity. The teachings of Zen often include paradoxical statements known as koans, meant to shake the mind free from conventional thinking and push practitioners toward a deeper understanding. Lastly, in the modern world, secular Buddhism has emerged, especially in Western countries. Secular Buddhism focuses on the practical aspects of Buddhist teachings, such as mindfulness, meditation, and compassion, without necessarily adopting the religious or supernatural aspects of the tradition. This form of Buddhism appeals to many who are looking for ways to live mindfully and peacefully in the modern, often chaotic world, without necessarily following a religious framework. It emphasizes personal growth and the application of Buddhist wisdom in everyday life, from mental health to relationships to social justice. Despite these differences, all schools of Buddhism share a common thread: the desire to help all beings find liberation from suffering. Whether through meditation, ritual, social engagement, or mindfulness in daily life, Buddhism offers a diverse range of practices and insights to meet people where they are. And no matter which form you encounter, the ultimate goal remains the same: the liberation of the mind, the awakening of wisdom, and the cultivation of compassion. The beauty of Buddhism is that, though it has many paths, all of them point toward the same truth. The truth that suffering is not something we have to simply endure, but something we can understand and transform. And this truth, no matter where we are in the world, is a beacon for all those seeking peace, clarity, and freedom. Section 5. Modern Life and Buddhism. In today's world, with its fast pace, constant distractions, and overwhelming stress, the timeless teachings of Buddhism are more relevant than ever. Modern life, with all its conveniences and technological advancements, can also lead us to feel more disconnected than ever before. We may have more material wealth, more access to information, and more ways to connect with others. But many of us feel less present, more anxious, and more disconnected from ourselves and the world around us. Buddhism offers a simple yet profound solution: mindfulness. The practice of mindfulness, the art of paying attention to the present moment without judgment, may sound simple, but its impact on our daily lives can be life-changing. In a world that is constantly pulling us in different directions, mindfulness teaches us how to come back to ourselves, to stay grounded in the present moment, and to be fully aware of our thoughts, emotions, and actions. At its core, mindfulness is about living with awareness. It's about noticing when we are caught up in thoughts of the past or worries about the future. It's about being present in every moment, whether we are eating, walking, working, or even just breathing. Through mindfulness, we can learn to cultivate an inner peace that is not dependent on external circumstances. We can find clarity in the midst of chaos, calm in the midst of stress, and joy in the simplicity of life. But mindfulness is not just about meditation. It is a way of living, a way of being. It is about applying the teachings of Buddhism to every part of our lives: how we interact with others, how we handle stress, how we deal with disappointment, and how we approach our goals and dreams. It's about living with intention and presence, and making choices that align with our deeper values. In the workplace, mindfulness can help us reduce stress, improve focus, and enhance creativity. It can help us build better relationships with our colleagues, listen more deeply, and communicate more effectively. In our personal lives, mindfulness can help us connect more deeply with our loved ones, be more compassionate with ourselves, and make decisions that align with our true desires and values. In addition to mindfulness, Buddhism offers profound insights into the nature of desire and attachment. In modern life, we are constantly told that we need more success, more money, more status, more things. But Buddhism teaches that it's not in the accumulation of external possessions or achievements that we find happiness. Instead, true contentment comes from within. It comes from understanding the impermanent nature of all things and letting go of our attachment to them. When we stop chasing after fleeting pleasures and external validations, we can begin to experience a deeper sense of fulfillment. We can cultivate gratitude for what we already have and learn to find peace in the present moment. Buddhism teaches us to embrace life as it is, without the need for constant striving or the endless pursuit of more. This is not to say that we should not pursue our goals or work towards improvement, but rather that we should learn to do so with a sense of balance and detachment. We can enjoy life without being ruled by it. As more people around the world begin to embrace mindfulness and Buddhist principles, we see a growing movement of individuals seeking spiritual fulfillment outside of traditional religious structures. Secular Buddhism in particular has gained traction, offering a way to incorporate Buddhist teachings into a modern, non-religious context. People from all walks of life are discovering that Buddhism is not a distant or outdated tradition, but a living, breathing practice that can be applied to any aspect of life, at any time. As we navigate the complexities of modern life, Buddhism offers us a roadmap for living with greater wisdom, compassion, and inner peace. It reminds us that, no matter how fast-paced or chaotic life becomes, we always have the ability to return to the present moment, to find peace in our hearts, and to live with purpose and meaning. Section 6. Stories that inspire Buddhism is not just a set of teachings, it is a lived experience. It's not just about studying ancient scriptures or learning concepts. It's about putting the teachings into practice, transforming our lives, and finding peace and wisdom along the way. There are countless stories of individuals who have been deeply inspired and transformed by Buddhism, each one showing us a different way that the teachings can be applied to real life. Take, for example, the story of Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, one of the most beloved Buddhist teachers of the 20th century. A Vietnamese monk, Thich Nhat Hanh, became a peace activist during the Vietnam War, speaking out against violence and promoting peace through mindfulness. He taught the world that peace is not just the absence of conflict, but the presence of mindfulness and compassion in every moment. Thich Nhat Hanh's teachings have touched millions of lives, reminding us that peace begins within and that we can choose to live with more compassion, even in the face of immense suffering. Then there's the story of Jack Kornfield, an American who went to Thailand to study Buddhism and returned to the West to share the teachings with others. Jack had his own struggles, personal, emotional, and spiritual, but through the practices of mindfulness and meditation, he found healing and peace. Today, he is a world-renowned teacher of Buddhist meditation, helping others find peace and clarity in their own lives. His story is a testament to the transformative power of Buddhism and how it can help us navigate even the most difficult of circumstances. Another inspiring story is that of Pema Chodron, a Tibetan Buddhist nun who has touched countless lives with her teachings on love, compassion, and acceptance. Pema has written extensively on how we can transform suffering into wisdom, teaching that the obstacles we face are not things to be avoided, but opportunities for growth. Her teachings remind us that we don't have to be perfect to live a meaningful life. We can embrace our flaws, our mistakes, and our pain. And in doing so, we can find the strength to live more fully and with greater compassion. These are just a few examples of people who have been deeply impacted by Buddhism, but there are countless others, from celebrities like Richard Gere and Uma Thurman, who have embraced Buddhist practices, to everyday individuals who have found solace in the teachings during difficult times. Their stories inspire us because they show us that Buddhism is not just for monks or scholars, it is for everyone. No matter where we are on our journey, Buddhism offers us a way to heal, grow, and live with greater peace and wisdom. Perhaps the most inspiring stories, however, are those that we encounter in our own lives. the small moments of awakening, the quiet shifts in perspective, and the gradual transformation that occurs when we begin to live more mindfully and compassionately. Buddhism teaches us that we all have the potential to awaken, to transform our suffering, and to live with more peace and joy. And each of us has a unique story to tell, a story that is still unfolding. Section 7. The Power of Now. In Buddhism, there is one central teaching that stands above all others when it comes to practical application in our daily lives: the present moment. In a world where our attention is constantly pulled in a million different directions by responsibilities, distractions, technology, and worries, it can be incredibly difficult to simply be present. We often find ourselves dwelling on the past or anxiously anticipating the future, but the truth is that all we ever really have is now. The Buddha's teachings point to the present moment as the gateway to freedom. He emphasized that the past is gone, the future is uncertain, and the only time we truly have is the moment unfolding right before us. In this way, Buddhism offers a profound antidote to the stress and anxiety that comes with living in a world of constant movement and change. The power of the now is not just a philosophical concept. It is a practical tool for transforming our lives. When we are fully present, we experience life more deeply. We are able to connect with others more authentically, appreciate the beauty around us, and even find peace in the simplest of actions. Whether it's the taste of our food, the feel of the air on our skin, or the sound of a loved one's voice, being present allows us to savor these moments with a deep sense of gratitude and awareness. But how do we get there? How do we stop the endless cycle of thoughts, distractions, and worries, and find ourselves in the here and now? The first step is mindfulness, the practice of bringing our attention to the present moment without judgment. Mindfulness is often practiced through meditation, but it can also be integrated into our daily activities. When we wash the dishes, we can be fully present with the sensation of water and soap. When we walk, we can focus on the feeling of each step. When we talk to someone, we can truly listen without letting our minds wander. Buddhism teaches that the present moment is not something we need to fix or change. It simply is. Our job is to embrace it as it is, with all of its imperfections, uncertainties, and beauty. The moment we stop resisting life, we begin to experience peace. It is the act of acceptance, accepting what is, without needing to alter it, that allows us to feel a deep sense of calm. This doesn't mean that we ignore our responsibilities or stop planning for the future. The present moment is not an escape from reality. It is an invitation to engage with life more fully. By being present, we become more aware of the choices we make, the thoughts we entertain, and the emotions we experience. We start to see more clearly, and with that clarity comes the ability to act with greater wisdom and compassion. The beauty of living in the present moment is that it opens up an entirely new way of experiencing life. Instead of chasing after the next thing or regretting the past, we can find contentment and peace right where we are. We realize that the key to happiness is not somewhere out there in the future, but right here in the now. This is the ultimate gift Buddhism offers, a path to experiencing the fullness of life, just as it is. Section 8. Buddhism and the Future. In a rapidly changing world, where technology advances at lightning speed and global issues such as climate change, inequality, and social division weigh heavily on our collective conscience, the teachings of Buddhism seem more relevant than ever. But as we look to the future, what role does Buddhism play? Can these ancient teachings, rooted in the wisdom of the Buddha, provide guidance for the challenges of tomorrow? The short answer is, absolutely. Buddhism is not a static tradition. It is a living, evolving practice. While the core teachings remain constant, the ways in which they are applied have adapted to the needs of each generation. In the past, Buddhist teachings were transmitted through monks, temples, and monasteries. Today, they are being shared in new and innovative ways, from books and online courses to mindfulness-based programs in schools, hospitals, and workplaces. One of the most significant developments in recent years is the widespread interest in mindfulness, a practice rooted in Buddhist teachings that has found its way into mainstream culture. Mindfulness is now being used as a tool for mental health, stress reduction, and emotional well-being. From meditation apps to corporate wellness programs, mindfulness is being embraced by people from all walks of life, proving that Buddhism's practical teachings have the potential to bring about real change in the modern world. As more and more people seek ways to navigate the complexities of modern life, Buddhism's emphasis on inner peace, wisdom, and compassion provides a much-needed antidote to the overwhelming pressures of today's world. Whether it's through meditation, mindfulness, or simply learning to live with more awareness and compassion, Buddhism offers a blueprint for creating a more harmonious, balanced life. But Buddhism's impact extends far beyond individual practice. The teachings of the Buddha also offer profound insights for addressing the broader challenges we face as a society. Take, for example, the concept of interconnectedness, the understanding that all beings and all things are interdependent. This teaching reminds us that our actions, thoughts, and behaviors have a ripple effect on the world around us. When we act with kindness, we contribute to a culture of compassion. When we live with awareness, we help create a world that values mindfulness over mindless consumption. As global issues such as environmental degradation and social inequality continue to threaten the well-being of our planet and its inhabitants, Buddhism's focus on simplicity, compassion, and living in harmony with nature offers valuable guidance. The Buddha taught that true happiness does not come from external possessions or status, but from within, from living a life of balance and understanding. In a world that is increasingly defined by consumerism, competition, and division, Buddhism encourages us to reconnect with what truly matters: our relationships, our inner peace, and our collective responsibility to care for each other and the world. Perhaps one of the most profound teachings of Buddhism, especially in the context of the future, is the understanding of impermanence, the recognition that everything is constantly changing. This can be both a source of wisdom and comfort. As the world around us shifts and evolves, Buddhism reminds us that change is not something to fear, but something to embrace. It teaches us that while we cannot control the future, we can shape our responses to it. We can approach change with mindfulness, compassion, and resilience. As we move into the future, Buddhism offers us the tools to create a more peaceful, compassionate, and sustainable world. It reminds us that the key to addressing the challenges of tomorrow lies not in more technology, more wealth, or more power, but in more love, more mindfulness, and more understanding. In the end, Buddhism offers a timeless path that helps us cultivate wisdom, compassion, and inner peace, qualities that are not just essential for personal transformation, but for the collective transformation of the world. The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear: the wisdom of Buddhism has the potential to help us navigate it with grace, mindfulness, and compassion. It is a wisdom that has been passed down for over 2,500 years, and its relevance has only grown as the world faces new challenges. As we look to the future, Buddhism continues to offer a guide, a light in the darkness, for those seeking peace, understanding, and a way to live harmoniously with the world around them. Section 9. Buddhism and the Future of Humanity. As we look toward the future, the teachings of Buddhism hold more significance than ever. Our world is rapidly changing. New technologies, global interconnectedness, and environmental challenges are reshaping our daily lives in ways we could never have imagined even just a few decades ago. In this world of constant change and uncertainty, what can the teachings of the Buddha offer us? One of the most profound teachings of Buddhism is the recognition of impermanence, that everything in life is transient, constantly changing, and not permanent. Whether it's our personal lives, global politics, or the natural world, change is the only constant. This understanding can be both humbling and liberating. In a world where many things seem beyond our control, Buddhism offers us a way to navigate uncertainty with clarity and peace. The teachings on impermanence can offer solace in times of crisis, reminding us that no matter how difficult or painful our current situation may be, it will not last forever. Change is always on the horizon, and with it, new opportunities for growth and transformation. This mindset encourages us to embrace life fully, without clinging to any particular outcome, and to live with an open heart, ready to adapt to whatever comes our way. At the same time, Buddhism offers a deep commitment to compassion and interconnectedness, the understanding that all living beings and the environment are interconnected. As we face unprecedented challenges such as climate change, social inequality, and political conflict, the Buddhist concept of interconnectedness provides a framework for empathy and collective action. In an era when individualism and separation often dominate, the message of interconnectedness invites us to see beyond our differences and to work together toward the well-being of all beings. Buddhism's emphasis on ethical conduct also provides an essential guide for how we can address the pressing moral challenges of our time. From the choices we make as consumers, to the ways we engage in social and political movements, the ethical teachings of Buddhism, rooted in the principles of non-harm, mindfulness, and right action, can help us create a more compassionate and sustainable world. We are reminded that the small, everyday choices we make have ripple effects on the world around us, and that living ethically is not just about avoiding harm, but actively contributing to the flourishing of all beings. The future of humanity is shaped not only by the technology we create, but by the values we choose to live by. Buddhism teaches that true progress is not measured by material wealth or technological advancement, but by our capacity for inner transformation and our ability to live with wisdom, compassion, and mindfulness. In a world that often prioritizes the material over the spiritual, the Buddha's teachings remind us that the real measure of success is found in our ability to live with purpose, to cultivate peace within ourselves, and to care for one another and the planet. As more people around the world turn to Buddhism for guidance, we are seeing the seeds of a more compassionate, mindful, and interconnected future being sown. Whether through mindfulness practices in schools, mental health initiatives rooted in Buddhist principles, or social justice movements fueled by the commitment to nonviolence and compassion, Buddhism is helping to shape a future where peace and harmony are not just ideals, but achievable realities. Closing. The truth about Buddhism. As we come to the close of this journey through the heart of Buddhism, it's important to reflect on one key truth. Buddhism is not an abstract philosophy to be admired from afar. It is a living, breathing practice that invites us to experience life in its fullness, both its joys and its sorrows, with awareness, compassion, and wisdom. The Buddha's teachings are not something to be believed in blindly, but something to be experienced directly. They offer us a path, not a destination, but a way of living. They offer us a map, but the journey is ours to take. It is not about becoming someone different or achieving some distant goal, but about waking up to the truth of who we already are. Buddhism teaches us that we are not separate from the world around us. We are not isolated beings, but part of a vast, interconnected web of life. Our actions matter. Our thoughts matter. The way we live matters. Every small act of kindness, every moment of mindfulness, every choice we make to live with compassion ripples out into the world and touches the lives of others. The truth about Buddhism is not that it offers a perfect, easy solution to life's challenges. Instead, it teaches us how to face those challenges with equanimity, grace, and awareness. It shows us that suffering is not something to be feared or avoided, but something to be understood and transcended. It helps us to see that happiness and peace are not dependent on external conditions, but arise from within. As you continue on your own journey, remember that Buddhism is not a religion to be followed, but a practice to be lived, whether through mindfulness, meditation, ethical conduct, or simply living with greater awareness. Buddhism offers us the tools to navigate the complexities of life with wisdom and compassion. It reminds us that we have the power to transform ourselves, and in doing so, transform the world around us. So, take a moment to breathe, to be present, and to reflect on what this truth means for you. The teachings of the Buddha are not distant or unreachable. They are here, now, within you. You have the ability to awaken to your own inner wisdom and to live a life of peace, joy, and compassion. It all begins with the present moment, with the willingness to be awake and aware, to let go of attachments, and to live in harmony with the world. The truth about Buddhism is that it is not just a philosophy or a religion. It is a way of life, a way of living with deeper understanding, with greater compassion, and with a sense of peace that transcends the chaos of the world. And this truth is available to each and every one of us. All we need to do is awaken to it.
Siddhi